Hello, welcome to news on NTA International. I'm Nancy Godiangonihu, and on sign language is Courage Ogeriahi. First, the headlines. More banks issuing old Naira notes in compliance with Central Bank of Nigeria CBN directive. Federal government and allies to invest $618 million in digital and critical creative industry enterprises program. Plus, after 2 years, China reopens borders to foreign tourists. We begin with currency issues. Central Bank of Nigeria is now complying with the Supreme Court's judgment reintroducing the old 500 Naira and 1,000 Naira notes as legal tender till 31st December 2023. Bosede Abel, who has been following this policy, has an update.
There is a new wave of reactions by Nigerians following the CBN's circular that the old Naira note of 500 and 1,000 Naira remains legal tender. Now, this is the present situation at some ATM terminals. After waiting on the queue for hours, Ibrahim Mahmoud is excited that his old 500 Naira note was accepted by a beverage seller.
I feel happy. I just try and see if she can collect it, because I have this before the deadline of CBN.
I feel so happy, and I'm still praying for more. Anyone they have permit us to use, they should go and bring it out.
The announcement has come today. We are sure that maybe by the end of today, the initial resistance towards it will ease off. And then Nigerians are also very interested in the availability. Let it be available.
With allegations before now that some banks were disbursing the old Naira notes, how acceptable are the notes by traders now that it is official?
So if they give me, I can collect as far as they approve it.
Okay, well, it's a welcome development. I congratulate government for doing that because we're happy.
Since when government announced it, because I hear it by myself from my NTA station, so I started collecting it.
It is anticipated that as the days go by, both the old and new redesigned notes will be available for Nigerians to meet their daily financial needs. In Abuja, Bosede Abel, NTA News.
And there is now ease of financial transactions in Abeokuta, Ogun State, as commercial banks comply with the directive of the Central Bank of Nigeria, thereby disbursing the old Naira notes. Yemi Dalemo reports that economic activities have picked up within a short time.
Before the CBN's directive, residents of Abeokuta encounter difficulties in getting cash, as some of them arrive banks as early as 4 in the morning to pick numbers, which enables them access to the banking hall, while others wait long hours at the ATM points.
Here is Okelewo, the commercial center of Abeokuta, where majority of banks operating in the city of Abeokuta are located. The directive by the CBN has now started taking effect on the banks, as the banks have started complying with the directive by paying the old Naira notes to their customers.
We are very happy for this development.
The introduction of the old note bags to the masses will actually at least bring relief.
Banks were just giving us the old note without any issue.
We are happy that we can spend our old notes with our new notes in December.
The central bank's directive is also being complied with by commercial drivers, motorcyclists, businessmen and women who now transact with both old and the new Naira notes.
Now, if you are going to somewhere, if you said that it's old note you have, it's no problem for me to collect.
Since the government has directed us to be collecting the old notes, I now collect both the old and the new Naira notes.
I am now collecting the old and the new notes.
Residents who express satisfaction with this development urge banks to load their ATMs adequately. In Abeokuta, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
Away from stories on old and new Naira notes, the federal government is finalizing steps towards achieving a framework for Halal Certification in Nigeria. The framework, which is expected to be approved by the Federal Executive Council before May 2023, is also expected to activate a $7.2 trillion global market. Benny Adams has more.
Most food items off the shelf comes with the stamp 100% halal, which means it's safe and permissible for consumption. The global halal market was valued at $7.2 trillion in 2020 and is expected to reach $11.2 trillion by 2028.
Thank you very much.
The documents being presented to the Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment by the Halal Committee contains recommendations to include the need to set up a global standard that will compete with international best practice, establishment of a national regulator for halal in Nigeria, and a fund.
We believe that the report has pointed the way forward in the quest to prepare our country to take advantage of the opportunities that exist in the global halal market.
Our own would be like a component that deals with the laboratory. We can handle that technical aspects regarding the laboratory, set up the equipment, the training.
Having keyed into the African continental market, Mariam Katagum believes Nigeria stands to gain from the market in view of the multiplier effect that will accrue to the economy.
I'm optimistic that these recommendations will look at, and these will be able to help us move Nigeria towards making it a hub for halal products, not just in Africa, but around the world. And I want to assure you of the commitment of government towards the implementation of the roadmap on halal.
It is expected that the framework receives legislative and executive attention to allow it to come into effect on or before May 2023. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
The federal government and its allies are investing an estimated $618 million in digital and creative enterprises program tagged iDice. The program is aimed at promoting entrepreneurship and innovation in the digital technology and creative industries. We bring you details of this report as soon as they are ready. The British High Commission in Nigeria has given a pass mark to the 9th National Assembly. The outgoing High Commissioner, Katrina Leang, stated this when she visited the presiding officers of the National Assembly, and Ignatius Unko was there.
Katrina Leang has been a regular at the National Assembly. This time, her last as British High Commissioner to Nigeria, it was a farewell visit. The 9th National Assembly worked with the British High Commission on some critical legislative issues, especially the Electoral Act Amendment. With her work done in Nigeria, there was need to present her judgment of the 9th National Assembly before its presiding officers. She was satisfied with the number and quality of bills passed.
I see this as positive, and Nigerians should be proud. Your electoral map looks very different from when I arrived in 2019. There have been some tough times. We had COVID. Obviously, insecurity has got much worse since I've been here. But Nigerian people are incredibly resilient, very entrepreneurial. I remain very optimistic for Nigeria's future.
The amendment of the electoral looks better. I receive a lot of pressure from you and, of course, from. But for the benefit of insight, I think we have done a marvelous job in the amendment to the Electoral Act, and today Nigerians can see the benefit.
She also visited Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, where she also made some significant observations.
It's a very strong foundation of that. It's been a really good working relationship with Mr. Speaker and his team. We've worked together on a number of very important electoral bills. His own initiative, the foundation he set up to support young legislators.
My hope and my prayer is that whoever succeeds you will carry on in that same trajectory in building and fostering an even more sustainable relationship between our two countries. I really do thank you very much. We will miss you.
Katrina Leang has been the British High Commissioner to Nigeria since 2018. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The president and founder of Aspire Women Forum, Zainab Marwa, has unveiled a book titled 101 Nigerian Women of Impact, showcasing the inspiring stories of women who have excelled in their fields. The unveiling of the book was hosted by the Permanent Mission of Nigeria to the UN in commemoration of the International Women's Day in New York. The unveiling of the book coincided with the ongoing 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. Speaking at the event, Ambassador George Edopa, Deputy Permanent Representative of Nigeria to the UN, said the mission was happy to identify with the outstanding achievements and contributions women had made to society. Edopa said the unveiling of the new book in New York set a record that Nigerian women stood as a beam of hope and inspiration to all women globally. Responding, the author said she was inspired to write the book to celebrate the incredible achievements of Nigerian women who had made significant contributions to various sectors of society. On the foreign scene, China reopens borders to foreign tourists, while in Africa, death toll rises from tropical storm in Malawi. Charles Alpha with more details.
The major easing of restrictions comes after Beijing declared victory over the virus and retreats from a zero-COVID strategy that has hurt its economy. Reports say valid visas issued before China closed access to the world on 28th March 2020 will be honored starting from 15th of this month. Visa-free entry will resume in Hainan Island and Shanghai for cruise ships. Tour groups from Hong Kong and Macau would be allowed visa-free entry, while Chinese consular offices abroad will also resume processing visa applications. In other news, the U.S. President Joe Biden has signed an executive order this Tuesday aiming to increase the number of background checks to buy guns. The order aims to promote better and more secure firearms storage. The president plans to unveil his latest efforts at curbing gun violence in the country. Biden calls for banning so-called assault weapons, considering crimes and number of people being killed in the U.S. and in Africa. The death toll in Malawi from Tropical Storm Freddy has risen to 99, with 85 deaths recorded in the city of Blantyre alone. The heavy rains accompanied by strong wind have destroyed houses, washed away roads and bridges, flattened crop fields and disrupted power generation. The main referral hospital in Blantyre says it is overwhelmed by the sheer number of bodies it is receiving. The National Power Generating Company says it is unable to restore power with its hydropower plants off due to accumulation of debris caused by flooding. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
A seminar to exchange knowledge between Danish and Ghanaian companies in the agriculture and trade sectors has taken place in Accra. It was to determine partnership forming to solve the problem of food losses in the agriculture value chain. An estimated 1/3 of all food produced globally is lost as a result of post-harvest losses and other cold chain challenges.
In Ghana, agriculture accounts for 19.71% of the country's GDP and employed over 30% of its workforce in 2021. The sector is yet to realize its potentials, partly due to high post-harvest losses, the lack of storage facilities, poor road and transportation facilities, inadequate processing facilities, financing and value adding are a major setback for the sector's progress. Stakeholders in the industry believe with the maximum partnerships and solution-driven initiatives, the sector will have the needed growth.
It takes a lot of funding to be able to do this. So for us to move forward, we really need partnerships, especially from the West, for us to be able to get to the point where we can begin to export most of our products outside and start earning the foreign exchange that is needed in Ghana.
The Danish government, through a project dubbed The Better Food for More People, is bringing Danish and Ghanaian companies in the agriculture, cold chain value and trade sectors to partner and reduce food losses in the country. The project aims at reducing by half the global per capita food waste by 2030, which is the SDG goal target 12.3. Denmark's ambassador to Ghana, Mr. Tom Norin, said the SDGs will continue to be policies if they are not realized.
Has taken the efforts of many companies, researchers, public and private organizations to make the Danish food industry what it is today. We firmly believe that commercial partnerships and trade are key components to creating sustainable economic growth.
The Director of Crop Services at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Solomon Ansah, said government has put in place measures such as the 1D1F, 1D1D and bulk food supply systems to further reduce food losses in the country.
The National Buffer Stock Company, we really have to resource them, because when you bulk, you feed the schools, I mean our institutions like the prisons, the hospitals and things like that, bulk buying, it takes a lot of the food out of the system and reduces the losses.
The proposed partnership between Danish and Ghanaian companies to address food losses in the country was as a result of a study by Denmark's embassy in 2020 on food losses in the agriculture value chain and market opportunities for cold chain solutions in Ghana. It was to put the report into action.
News on NTA International. We take a break. Staying with us. Pockets of petrol queues are still visible in some preferred petrol stations in Abuja. Correspondent Lydia Sampson says it is not for lack of product availability, but due to other complexities of network transactions, as some stations are yet to adhere to pronouncements concerning the use of old Naira notes. Lydia has an update.
Say that the situation is improving by the day as more products are being deployed to the FCT. However, pockets of queues are still visible in some petrol stations because they are preferred by motorists who allegedly believe they have fuel integrity as well as the price differential. But however, the good news is that even where we are standing, one of the petrol stations where we are standing, they are dispensing right now, but the manager had earlier told us off camera that they are still expecting more product. But the manager is here with me. Mohammed Ibrahim, manager, please manager, can you just walk in? You said that the situation is improving, but what is responsible for this pocket of queues that we are still seeing now?
Actually, there's improvement in this supply of the products because we don't have much queue, and secondly, if you look at it, people are entering the gate without stress and getting their fuel easily. But the only problem we are facing is the issue of this network problem. Yes, most of we are on this cashless policy, and why the customers are getting it harder from them is because of the policy we are into.
Let me cut you short, because the cashless policy, there's been a statement that all notes should be collected. Are you collecting these old notes? And if you're not, why? Or if you're collecting, will it help ease the situation so far?
Yes, actually, in my station here, I don't collect because I've never,
why?
Why is because I've never get it directly from the authority, the high authority that I should be collecting it. Yeah. And if you look at, many people came with their money, with old money, they tell us we should collect it. We told them that we didn't hide it from the government.
But where do you want to hear it from the government? Because it's all over the TV stations.
Madam, you see, we Nigerians, when we had anything from the above, that is the last person, Mr. President. If Mr. President can come and announce it.
No, the CBN has issued a statement and all that.
Okay, madam, let's assume now, the last 200 naira collected, is Mr. President that come and tell the people that they should collect it at 200.
But I'm telling you as a reliable journalist that Mr. President and CBN and others have said they should collect it.
So, but presently, we don't even see them with the old note.
Okay. Yes. But if they come with it, you may collect it.
We may collect it. If they say we should go ahead, we collect it.
Okay. And so far, in addition to that, you said network. Sometimes in the morning, it works, yes. But does it fail?
Yes, sometime in the morning, it will work. But later in the afternoon, by this time around, you see it fails. Because when you look at the conjunction of the transaction in POS, yeah. Mostly even somebody want to buy Maggi or all these things, you say you go on POS.
But apart from that, do you have enough product?
We have. Actually, the queue has reduced. It didn't take me any time. Immediately, I just came here, I bought my fuel.
So far, even while we're standing here, we noticed another petrol tanker driving in, and hopefully the situation, they say, will improve.
Thank you, Lydia, for that update. We also hope that very soon everything will ease off, both the cash and petrol situations. Now, some pensioners who retired from the employment of the federal government have filed a suit challenging the alleged inability of government to review the pension scheme of civil servants. Olabode Arewa reports that the case was instituted to challenge the Pensions Act of 2014.
These are some of the pensioners waiting for their matter to be heard in courts. The 9 of them were the claimants, sued in representative capacities, dragging 7 agencies of the federal government before the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, sitting in Abuja. They are challenging the applicability of Section 173 of the 1999 Constitution as it applies to their emoluments. They want the court to determine whether the defendants are right in their alleged refusal to compulsorily review public pensions as mandated by the Pensions Reform Act of 2014.
That section of the Constitution did not discriminate between those on the old pension scheme and those on the contributory pension scheme. The federal government has not increased the pension and allowances of pensioners in the contributory pension scheme.
The defendants, namely Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, the Minister of Labour, the Minister of Finance, National Pension Commission, National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, in their preliminary objections, held that the claimants do not have the local standard to institute the case, as they neither represent the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, nor have they shown how their specific rights are being affected by the said action.
They do not have the locus to bring this action. This action can be approached administratively. There are issues, they are what we call non-justiciable issues, which can be approached administratively and not by maintaining an action in courts.
Justice Osatu Anwe Obaseki Osagi adjourned the case to May 19 for judgment. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
We move on to elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is appealing to political parties and their candidates to caution their agents and supporters to consider the March 18, 2023 governorship and state houses of assembly elections as a contest and not a war. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu and the National Security Advisor, retired Major General Babagana Mongono, gave the advice at an interagency consultative committee on election security in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
Numerous strategic engagements are already ongoing by political parties, their candidates and other concerned civil society organizations ahead of the March 18 governorship and state houses of assembly election.
We wish to call on security agencies to protect the lives of citizens as they come out for these elections and ensure that there is no intimidation of citizens in this election.
INEC and all critical election security stakeholders at this meeting are assuring that no stone will be left unturned in ensuring that the will of the people is not subverted.
The state elections will involve 1,021 constituencies, 28 governorship and 993 state assembly seats. There will also be more candidates involved and more collation centers to protect. These are also local elections involving keen contests. It is therefore important for parties and candidates to speak to their agents and supporters to see the election as a contest and not war.
What we do not want to happen is for anybody to preempt and to take the law into his or her own hands. I want to be very, very clear on this. We're going to give the maximum support to all entities involved in this process.
The governorship elections will hold in 28 states except in Anambra, Bayelsa, Edo, Ekiti, Imo, Kogi, Ondo and Osun, where the state elections were conducted off-cycle. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the onus of reporting correctly and the need to stick to the rule of the game rests on broadcasters in Nigeria as they prepare for another round of elections coverage this Saturday. Charles Alpha reports that the broadcasters were at a one-day workshop on broadcast ethics on the 2023 election organized by the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, where they were reminded of the dangers of contravening electoral guidelines.
United at events on any other day, but here now assembled under one roof to be retrained on election coverage and ethics, where they were told there are laid down rules which they are expected to abide by when it comes to coverage of elections.
NBC says stop your campaigns at 11:59. So if you run anything after 12 a.m., then that is an infraction.
We must delete and stop campaign materials 24 hours before the elections.
As much as the media was commended for in-depth coverage of the last presidential and parliamentary elections, some of the broadcast stations were found wanting by the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission and therefore demands high level of professionalism while improving on reportage.
We had incidences of anchors or presenters in the production where they actively participate. When you are anchoring a program, you are not supposed to push words into the mouth of the person that you are interviewing. But we found that most of you did exactly the wrong thing. The NBC is definitely not going to allow that to happen.
It's important that we know what the rules are.
It behoves on us as broadcasters to be professional.
The training by the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters was meant to remind broadcasters of what the laws say on campaigns and elections, the essentials of broadcasting and need for neutralism.
We are setting an agenda on what's supposed to be post-election presentation, production, discussions on air.
Paper presented centered on the need for more research, partnership with international broadcast stations for improved professional conduct and service delivery. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And that's it on the news. Do remember to connect with the NTA on the campaign against rape and rapists. On behalf of Courage Egeriahi, who has been on sign language, this is Nan.